Julie, is how important is sleep within our lives and why is it so necessary?
I mean, it's interesting what you were saying about now sleep being more important than ever, and partly that is due to technology, which is almost counterintuitive, but it's because with the technology now, we're seeing all these images which are showing us the impact of sleep deprivation on the developing brain, on the brain. So if we're looking at the three pillars of health, the three pillars of health are nutrition, exercise, and sleep, and not in any particular order. For example, we know that we will stay alive longer with sleep. We know that we will die sooner from lack of sleep rather than lack of food. So, for our emotional and physical well-being, sleep is absolutely critical. And as Matthew Walker quite rightly says, it is not a luxury, it's a biological necessity.
Yeah, I absolutely love that quote. I was watching Matthew Walker yesterday on YouTube in preparation for our interview, and it was really interesting what he was saying about men and their testicles.
Yeah.
He was basically saying, you probably know this better than me, it was something to do with their sperm count. A man who is not getting enough sleep, i.e., about 5 hours a night, their sperm count is significantly lower or the same as someone who is 10 years their senior.
Yeah. And again, that's really interesting. There was a very good study from the infertility clinics, and they looked at 700 heterosexual couples. And what they discovered was that poor sleep was associated with a decrease of 29% in sperm quality and quantity. So it has a huge impact on our overall, you know, functioning for men, plus the testosterone level. So not only are the scrotums smaller,
It's changing how we live our lives, I think,
yes,
basically. So I guess it's things like not taking your mobile to bed with you, going to bed at maybe having that downtime before you go to bed, maybe about an hour or so before you go to bed, not looking at any blue light.
our brain is cleared of all these toxins. Now, if we don't get enough sleep, then the brain doesn't have an opportunity to get rid of all these toxins. Now, as we become more and more sleep deprived, that sleep deprivation becomes accumulative. And what that means is that there are certain proteins, and they're called beta amyloid proteins, and they form like a residue on the front of the brain. And the only thing that really gets rid of these toxic proteins is sleep. And that's why we say sleep begets sleep. So there's a huge build-up, and this residue is built up on the front of the brain. Now, fashionable to say sleep doesn't matter, and it's almost like a badge of honor or a badge of courage to say I only slept 4 hours sleep last night. And, there's certain famous people in history. Margaret Thatcher was a very famous one who said, I can survive on sleep, and sleep is for wimps. And 4 hours. But if we look at this woman who, regardless of what you thought of her politics, and I won't say what I did, but look at how she died. She had the most incredible brain. She was one of the first to, attend, I think it was Oxford she was at, and the first women. So an amazing brain, but actually she had dementia and Alzheimer's. She died not knowing any of her family. Sleep is so important when it comes to Alzheimer's. So yes, absolutely. And the evidence that we are now collecting is becoming more and more conclusive.
There's so many people out there who, like a lot of entrepreneurs, for instance, who kind of get up they're in the 5 a.m. club. They get up at 5 a.m., they work out, and then they start work, and then they're going to bed about 12 o'clock, and they're just not getting enough sleep. And the reality is they could probably be so much more productive if they did get sleep. But like you say, it's not only that, it's the long term. It's kind of cumulative, isn't it? It's the long term effects that the lack of sleep is going to have on their mental health.
Yeah, I mean, um, in terms of mental health.
Thank you. Let's talk about alcohol and drugs, the impact that can have on our sleep. Because there's the false understanding, I think, from a lot of people that that alcohol helps you sleep, that maybe smoking marijuana helps you sleep, when the reality is that it actually kind of prevents you from going into that deep sleep. And so that has an impact on our sleep and our mental health.
Yeah. Absolutely. In terms, so you've just labelled two stimulants really, and that's what alcohol is, a stimulant. It can also, it's also the biochemistry of it, we can see it's an antidepressant too. But these are stimulants, whether it's caffeine, whether it's alcohol, food, all these things impact the quality of our sleep.